My name is Orally. I was 36 when my car slammed into a guardrail, leaving me with a shattered arm and a desperate need for help. I texted my family from the emergency room, begging someone to get my children from school. My sister, Chloe, sent back selfies from a spa day. And my mother called asking for cruise money. I lay there in that hospital bed with one cold thought cementing in my mind. How can the people who are supposed to be your foundation be the first to let you fall? That question turned everything upside down. Have you ever had a moment where you realized your family was completely indifferent to your suffering? Leave a comment if you've ever felt like a stranger in your own life. Hit like and subscribe to join me in uncovering the truth about a picture-perfect family and revealing the rot I never wanted to see. There's a unique kind of devastation that comes with that realization. It's not just selfishness. It's a profound lack of connection that leaves you feeling utterly alone. That coldness settled deep in my bones. A permanent chill. Where warmth used to be. I'm a mother of 2 Leo, who is 10, and Maya, who is 7, living just outside Portland. For my entire adult life, I had been the family's fixer, their financial safety net. I paid for Chloe's influencer business boot camp when she decided she was going to be a star. I gave my parents the money for a new roof when theirs started leaking into the living room. I even co-signed the loan for my brother's car after he wrecked his last one. I never made them ask twice. I just did it. I thought that's what a foundation was for. I was so wrong. When the accident happened, my first thought wasn't about my own pain. It was about Leo and Maya. Who would get them? Who would make them dinner? My text was a simple, "Despérate playa." The silence that followed was an answer. Chloe's post finally appeared hours later, a boomerang of 2 champagne flutes clinking together. The caption, "A breezy, treat yourself Tuesday." My parents had seen my message. The little read icon confirmed it, but they chose silence. Their inaction wasn't an oversight. It was a decision. After hours of watching my phone, hoping for a call that never came, I gave up on them and called my cousin, Anya. She didn't hesitate. She left work early, drove straight to the school, picked up the kids, and took them for pizza. Her husband, Ben, met them at my house to pack overnight bags. They didn't ask for permission or wait for instructions. They just handled it. They just showed up. Meanwhile, Chloe's spa day unfolded on Instagram. There was a picture of her in a fluffy white robe. Then, a video of her getting a pedicure. My mother loved every single post. 2 weeks later, still incapacitated and barely able to move, my mother finally called. She didn't ask about the crash. She didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't even mention the children. She launched straight into a breathless pitch about a once-in-a-lifetime cruise deal she and my father had found. The deposit was non-refundable. She stressed, and it was due by Friday. She needed $3,200. She spoke with an unnerving excitement, as if she were calling to share good news with someone who wasn't lying in a bed surrounded by pillows. My body a mess of stitches and bruises, I listened to her entire sales pitch, the words blurring into a meaningless hum of entitlement. When she finally paused for breath, waiting for my inevitable agreement, I said one word, "No." Silence stretched across the line, thick and heavy. "What do you mean?" "No," she finally asked, her voice laced with genuine confusion, as if the concept was completely alien to her. I didn't explain. I didn't argue. I just ended the call, and as I set the phone down, I felt the distinct, satisfying click of a lock turning deep inside me. The fallout began less than 24 hours later. It started with Chloe. She texted me a link to an obscenely expensive handbag. A few minutes later, another text arrived. Mom said you were being weird about the cruise. Everything, okay? The manipulation was so transparent, it was almost insulting. I ignored both messages, letting them sit there. Unread, my new boundary was silence. Then came my father. He sent a long, rambling text about the importance of family helping each other. A lecture that conveniently ignored their complete failure to help me. He painted me as the villain, the one who was suddenly punishing my heartbroken mother for a simple request. I read the message and felt nothing but a dull, empty ache. The performance reached its peak that evening. Chloe posted a dramatic, black and white quote on her Instagram story. The kind influencers use when they're feuding. It read, "It hurts when you realize you were watering a dead plant all along." The irony was so profound, so utterly lacking in self-awareness, that I almost laughed. They saw themselves as the victims, the neglected plants. They had no idea they were the rot in the soil. I thought the conflict would stay at the level of petty emotional blackmail guilt trips and passive-aggressive social media posts. I was wrong. The real escalation came a week later with a call that changed everything. It was the principal from Leo's school. Her voice was gentle but firm. She informed me that an anonymous call had been made to the child welfare hotline. My heart stopped. The complaint, she explained, made two specific allegations. First, that my children were frequently left unsupervised in an unsafe home environment. Second, that I had a substance abuse problem and was misusing the prescription pain medication I'd been given after the accident. The blood drained from my face. It was a cold, sickening rush. I knew, with absolute certainty, who had made that call. Only my parents and Chloe knew the specific name of my prescription. This was their next move. This was their leverage. They weren't just asking for money anymore. They were threatening me with the loss of my children to get it. They had crossed a line from which there was no return. The family I thought I had was gone. In its place stood a group of strangers willing to destroy my life for a cruise. That night, stewing in a potent cocktail of fury and fear, I did something I should have done years ago. I launched a full financial audit of my life. The malicious hotline call wasn't just a threat, it was a trigger. It pushed me past grief and straight into a cold, methodical need for facts. I spent hours online, pulling credit reports, downloading bank statements, and untangling the web of financial enmeshment I had allowed to grow over the years. That's when I found it. A credit card, opened 6 months prior, with a major bank I didn't use. My name was on the account, and listed as an authorized user was my sister, Chloe. The balance was over $12,000. I scrolled through the statement, my breath catching in my chest. The charges painted a vivid picture of the curated life Chloe projected on social media, boutique hotels in the city, dinners at restaurants I couldn't afford, and a steady stream of purchases from designer clothing stores. Every sponsored post, every perfectly staged selfie was funded by my credit. A chilling clarity washed over me. Sharp and absolute. This was no longer a family dispute about money or fairness. This was identity theft. This was a crime, and they had just handed me all the evidence I would ever need. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. The time for emotional reactions was over. My actions from that point on were deliberate, precise, and cold. First, I called a lawyer who specialized in financial fraud. Second, I filed a detailed police report, citing identity theft. Third, I froze my credit with all three major bureaus. Then, I sat down at my kitchen table and began to write. I crafted a social media post for my private Facebook page, the one connected to our entire extended family, old neighbors, and community friends. I was strategic. I didn't use a single name. I didn't have to. I simply laid out a precise, emotionless timeline of events. I started with the date of the car crash and my plea for help. I followed it with the spa day photos, the frantic demand for cruise money, and the subsequent guilt-tripping texts. Then I detailed the anonymous, malicious call to my son's school. I finished with the discovery of the fraudulent credit card opened in my name. And then I attached the receipts. I posted screenshots. Side by side, my desperate text in the group chat, next to Chloe's smiling champagne boomerang, a redacted copy of the time-stamped call log from the school principal, a redacted copy of the credit card statement, showing thousands of dollars in charges for designer goods and luxury travel. I hit post. The effect wasn't gradual. It was a bomb, detonating in the quiet, manicured garden of my family's public image. The post triggered an immediate cascade of revelations. A cousin messaged me, revealing Chloe had borrowed $2,000 from him for a rental deposit and never paid it back. A former family friend commented, questioning a suspicious GoFundMe. My parents had run 2 years ago for emergency plumbing repairs that never seemed to happen. The facade didn't just crack. It disintegrated in real time as a clear and undeniable pattern of deceit was exposed for everyone to see. The consequences were swift. Chloe's micro-influencer brand partners, who sold wellness, teas, and boutique clothing, dropped her within 48 hours. My parents quietly deleted their old, questionable GoFundMe page. The social shrapnel from the detonation was devastating to their carefully curated image. My mother called me, sobbing, not to apologize, but to demand I take the post down. You're ruining the family's name, she cried. I hung up. A few days later, my lawyer sent a formal cease and desist letter to Chloe regarding the identity theft. Her social media accounts went dark. The demands for money stopped completely. Within 3 months, their world, which had been propped up by my income for so long, collapsed. Without my financial support, they lost their house to the bank. Chloe had to move back in with them, into a cramped rental apartment. The beautiful sound of silence filled my life. My world became small and peaceful. It revolved around my children, my work, and my new, chosen family, Anya and Ben. We started a tradition of Sunday night dinners, our laughter filling the space where anxiety used to live. One evening, my daughter Maya looked up from her drawing and said, I like how our house is calm now. That word calm was the ultimate reward. It was worth more than any apology I never received. With the money I was no longer hemorrhaging, I started college funds for Leo and Maya and opened my first real investment account. My future was finally my own. 6 months later, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a single sentence was scrawled in my mother's handwriting. You destroyed this family. I felt no anger. No sadness. No guilt. I walked to the kitchen and shredded it. I didn't destroy a family. I just stopped being the sole foundation holding up a rotten structure. And when it collapsed under the weight of its own decay, I was finally free. The greatest lesson I learned is that the people who belong in your life don't need to be begged to show up. And it's more than okay to show the rest of them the door. What about you? Have you ever had to choose between saving yourself and saving a relationship that was hurting you? Have you ever chosen a family of your own through a friend? a neighbor, or even yourself. I'd love to hear your story. Leave a comment below and tell me what you think. And if you recognize a piece of yourself in this story, don't forget to follow the channel, because there are so many more journeys of courage, choice, and the ways we rise again from the ruins. Family stories don't always start beautiful. But if we're brave enough, we can rewrite the ending softer, truer, freer,